Now, what are we looking at down the road?
Well, as the population, it depends on what happens with the overall population. The trend for the population has been a downward decline. So as your population decreases, one of the effects is your per capita cost increase because you lose an economy of scale. So it's hard for it to project what that per capita cost is going to be 2 or 3 years down the road if the population continues to decline, as we hope that it will.
So what's the cost of St. Charles?
Right now, the cost of St. Charles is approximately $76,000 per youth.
Okay, so let's get off that a little bit and go back to the director. The director, you talked about long-term vision. I guess what bothered me about this process that we've all been in for a number of years is this, if there was a vision and a plan for the future, I guess I'm always a lot more apt to go along with something. But what really bothers me about the process we're in right now, it seems to be budget driven rather than a long-term vision. And so evidently we keep talking about the vision. I'm assuming that the 5-year program, where we're going to be 5 years from now. I also think the commission will be presented what your vision is, because I'm hoping this vision didn't happen in the last few months after the governor announced we're at cuts. So I would like to see from the committee if you could get us that 5-year plan. Thank you.
And just so that it should be public, no provision did not start. I was brought on in August of 2010, and effective August of 2010, and we laid out a 3 to 5 year vision for the department. And within that vision was to reduce the population. And that reduction now is just not proper juvenile justice in isolation of all the other systems that make up the department. Not the department, but the juvenile justice system. And so we're operating in a continuum of care. The youth who are coming in from the local level, the county level, they have programs and principals that are activated that are assisting in this. And so I just want to make sure that it had no relationship to in terms of our 3 to 5 year plan in terms of what was announced.
Well, as a legislator, I think that we'd appreciate more if we've seen some of the plans before we've seen the budget. Probably to create the future. I guess we're all a little suspicious that sometimes we think it is budget driven more than the quality of a vision in the future.
Representative Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director, thank you and your staff for being here. I just want to preface my comments. I'm saying that in the time that you have been on the board, you've been very receptive in some of your ideas and how you deal with other ancillary agencies, especially at the local level, have been exemplary. I just want to compliment you on that. But as you know, generally when people preface something like that, you know what's coming. But in all honesty, I think that what Representative Poe said was right. You know, we really, you know, there's an expression, and it's really been bastardized. It's not the way the original quote was said, but people say perception is reality. Well, perception isn't reality. Perception is perception. Reality is reality. But I would say, the vision notwithstanding, when you came on board, it does look, for real, like many of these issues with a lot of the closures. We're dealing with closures in a lot of other facilities, not just DJJ, were basically driven on budgetary concerns. And I don't think that there's one of us up here that don't, you know, we're the legislative branch, that don't understand the myriad concerns and the gravity of the budget issues. I do think, though, that there are departments under the governor whose charge is to deal with populations that are vulnerable, and that needs special care. Yours is one of them. One of the concerns that I have, and I've got my own, and I've also got a lot of concerns from practitioners, is the fact that we talk about the population decreasing. That's a good thing. Maybe it means that the overall system, not just with you, but law enforcement and everything else, is working. Judicial system. But having said that, you can't talk about population decreasing without talking about the geography of the population. Many of these folks still come from the Chicago metropolitan area, correct? And many people have always had a concern about how far they have to travel, to see their loved one who's incarcerated. Now, what's the plan if Joliet IYC goes away? What's the plan for transition? A lot of folks have a concern that many of these youth will go further downstate, which would make it even more difficult for them to be visited and so forth. What's your response to that?
Yes, and definitely, and those were some of our thoughts even prior to the closure discussion. How can we make youth more available to families? And so some of those youth, at least for a time, because this is a continuous process in terms of us shaking out all the things that we have to do as it pertains to the property juvenile justice. Some of those youth that go to Kiwani would be further. So some of our discussions
In Harrisburg.
So some of our discussions are even looking at video visitation. So we're looking at technology. We're looking at electronic. How can you have families who have long distance to travel? How can they avail themselves to have visitation? And that's something that's already going on in child welfare and other systems, where video visitation is one part of the visitation plan. In another instance, we may look at how do we assist parents and families to get into these locations. And those are the things that have to be flushed out.
But you see, a lot of these issues have been around a long time. One of the things about research and so forth, we all avail ourselves of it. So we know about everybody knows about all the studies, and sometimes studies can be cherry picked. Well, this is one that agrees with my particular public policy point of view, and so this is the one I'm going to look at. The issue of video visitation has been around a long time. But I first heard about it in the realm of the adult justice system, not necessarily the juvenile justice system. Wouldn't you say that there's a sort of a slight difference in maybe doing that with an adult versus a child who needs more direct contact, irrespective of what that child did? I mean, let's face it, they are visited by their loved ones.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be the optimum. That's an additional resource because there are geography challenges. Again, I have to go back into the concept that has already been used in different states, and also even in Illinois for the youth that are in foster care, that geography-wise they are in residential programs that are quite distant. So it's not the optimum. Whenever possible, yes, you want to have